Welcome to the Cross the Line podcast. My name is Carlos Smith, and I have another special guest with me right now. We were actually getting ready to leave Charleston, but then a very special guest, somebody that's very important to us, walked in, Miss Krystle Simmons. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. So for the people that don't know, go ahead and tell them a little bit about what you do.
Okay, well, I am Representative Krystle Simmons. I am a State House rep for District 117 here in Berkeley and Charleston County for the State House in Columbia. And I pretty much represent you guys making, amending, and creating laws.
Absolutely. And how tough is that to make laws with so much going on? How much control do you actually have in say so?
So actually, we have a lot of control as far as the say so. One thing I've learned through this process is that you're never involved enough. A lot of people think that it takes some great magical power, but really anybody can come up with an idea for a law. You can call me and say, look, something is going on in my neighborhood and we need to take care of it. And I have a research team that will research and help me figure out if there's already anything existing that we can build off of, or if we need to create something new altogether. Mm-hmm. And then it goes to the House and we vote on it, things like that.
So what actually made you want to get into politics? Because a lot of people don't really pay attention to it as much as we should, but what made you really want to get into politics?
Well, as a young African-American woman, I'm a random reader, kind of nerdy, just a little bit.
I like to read.
And I was reading about midterm elections and why they were important, because we always hear about the presidential election, but in between presidential elections, there's another election called the midterm elections. Mm-hmm. And that's where you vote on the people who actually affect the things that create where you live. I mean, the laws that you live by in your everyday life, those are created by the midterm elections. The presidential election is way up here. That's not as close to home as the other one.
Absolutely. Okay, so welcome back. So can you tell us again, Ms. Krystle, how long does it take when you're looking to pass a law? How long does that take to actually get something done?
It can take anywhere from a few days to over years, because it just depends on how the people in the House feel about it. The House is composed of 124 members that represent the districts in the state, and we pretty much will vote on it. But sometimes you get something that's not as easy or black and white. People have a lot of opinions about it. That will keep it in limbo a lot longer, and you might have to keep going back and forth and back and forth. So really there's no set time, but it just varies depending on what we're talking about. So
would you say that we need to pay more attention to the local elections instead of the presidential?
I would definitely say that. So how this works is the president, he's up here, so he creates laws for the whole country. So if you will, he creates laws for each state. Mm-hmm. Your governor is kind of like the president of your state. They determine how the laws that he created are enacted in your state. Mm-hmm. And then your local legislature, like what I'm in, the Senate and the House, we take that and build off. You see how it keeps breaking down until smaller bites, until it finally gets to the people. So what you need to do is you need to look up who's representing your area, and you can literally Google who's my representative and put your address in, and it will tell you. And then you can click on their name and see their voting record, what they voted yes to, what they voted no to. And if you don't feel like it's somebody representing you and you feel like you could do a better job, then that's an incentive maybe for you to get more involved. And our young people, I really, really encourage them to become more involved, because these are the laws that we're creating now that will be around for lifetimes. I mean, some of these laws have been on the books forever.
Mm-hmm. And I saw Angela Ross, she said something one time about, a lot of times we don't pay attention to politics, but even when we're not paying attention, it's still laws being passed that really affect us.
Yes.
So she said, and that's why she said that we really need to pay attention, because stuff behind our back that we think might not affect us, it really does. So when you see things that you don't believe actually are good for the people, what do they let you come in and say, no, this is not right, or do they still override what you say?
No, so you get to, there's times where you can voice your opinions. There's some rules and stuff to how we work and operate. But yes, you can stand on top of your head if you need to and yell it from the mountaintop, like, look, this is not good. Ultimately, it comes down to a vote, whether or not you have enough people who agree with you to actually stop it or pass it. So if there's something you don't want, of course you want to stop it. So you're just hoping that out of 124 members, you have enough majority to stop whatever's going on that you don't want.
How much do they tell you not to speak out against other members in the House?
No.
Or are you free to say whatever?
We're free to say whatever.
Free to say whatever. Do you guys have any kind of contact with President Trump or
No, we do not.
none at all?
No, unless you go to one of his rallies, we never see him.
Yeah.
So that's a common misconception, right? Everybody thinks, I get a lot of emails like, build a wall. Yeah, well, it's not even in state government. I mean, wrong level, right? That's the federal.
Talk about this wall thing though. Like, I don't understand. Like, I watched some interviews, and of course I've seen some wealthy billionaires say the wall is not going to do anything. But why are people so, and why is the president so fixated on building a wall?
I would say that the wall for them that want it is merely their means of getting to that end. You know, if I asked you, what is the best way to set this light up? You might say, use the stand. I might say, let's attach it to the wall.
Right.
But either one of us could be better, one could not be better. But it's merely a matter of opinion. And so the problem in the fight is that he's using the money from Americans to do something that he doesn't have total agreement on. So really, it's like me saying, hey, give me $500 of your money. And you're like, no, wait, what are you using it for? I'm like, man, just give it here. I need to use it. Anyway, regardless of if you agree with what I'm using it for or not, I still want your money. Yeah, like, I think that's the part of contention. And Democrats, well, I wouldn't even say Democrats. People who don't want the wall, they feel like it's a one-sided fix. It's not really going to secure the border. Do we all want border security? Yes. But do we all agree on how? No.
And it's like, it's a lot of stuff we just don't agree with. And like you're saying with the money, you don't really, the money, what it's used for. And I think that's why a lot of people have trouble trusting politicians. But how is it any way that we can see why money is actually going? Like when we pay taxes or anything, is there any way that we have, that we can look at and say, okay, our money is going towards this, what we want it to go to?
Yeah, I will give you the good answer and the bad, right? So, yes, it's available. All of that information is public. But it takes a lot of digging sometimes to find out all the details of where they go. Now, a lot of people, the regular person, either doesn't have time or doesn't want to dig for those details.
Right.
So you entrust that to somebody, right? And then a lot of times we don't find out until it's too late if it's been mismanaged, right? You hear it on the news first. So I always encourage people to create watchdog groups. If there's something in your neighborhood or locally that you really want to keep an eye on, where they're spending the money or how they're spending the money, and these watchdog groups a lot of times will dig into those details and bring that information back out to people so that you guys can know on a more even plane what's going on.
Okay, so another thing that we have trouble figuring out as far as the president is, well, impeachment. Talk about impeachment, because we see this now where forgive me, I forgot his name. That's on trial right now.
Michael Cohen.
Michael Cohen. That was singing like a bird.
Right.
So he's telling everything now. So is it really worth, with one more year left? I mean, election year is next year. Is it really worth? Should we still be trying to push for impeachment at this time?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not that versed in impeachment, I will say that, but I think if they haven't impeached him now, they're not going to before his term is over. That's just my personal opinion. Factually, I don't know what they're going to do, but I feel like if they could have done it, they would have.
They would have done it by now.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it just, like, what's the point now? We have one more year. I mean, it could get worse. Things could get worse.
Let me tell you a few things that Donald Trump did right.
Okay.
A few things that he did correctly was that he riled up enough of the sleeping voters to now be involved. People are now paying attention more than they ever were before because they are so flabbergasted. He has polarized this country. You are either this way or that way and nowhere in between. And so people are waking up. He done shook them, they done woke up. And not only that, but the one thing he taught us is that the requirements are only the requirements. You have to be over 35, you have to be a U.S. citizen, and I think there's one other thing. So Nothing else.
No experience.
People always think that they got to have this long resume. Even for my position, for the state house and your local government, read the requirement. Google what the requirement. If you feel like there's a position that you would be better suited for than whoever is in it, Google what the requirements are. And then don't let nobody stop you if you meet them. Sometimes lack of experience can be an asset because you bring a fresh vision, you bring a fresh field of focus, and you're not biased to any different degree. So don't let people downplay the fact that you don't have any experience, because that could actually be what makes you better.
But is that a good thing? Because now it's kind of like it kind of opened the floodgates to anybody that wants to run now. So is it good that
you always want the power to be with the people?
Okay.
What you don't want is to give all the power to one person and they make decisions for everybody that you don't like, right? So you always want to give the power back to the people. That's my advice. Of course, some people might disagree, but would you rather me tell y'all what to do, or would you rather be able to choose for yourself?
Choose for yourself.
You'd rather be able to choose for yourself. So you want to open the floodgates. Everybody's not going to run.
That's true.
Everybody ain't built for it. Everybody's lives ain't set up for that. So it's not going to happen anyway. But you want people who are interested to run, because these are the positions where you need somebody who cares about the issues that relate to you. You don't want just people who want power and status.
But for many of us, we don't feel like President Trump cares about our people. Like the things that he spews out, and some of the stuff that was in Cohen's statement was like, I would never. This is somewhere only about Chicago. This is only somewhere somebody black would stay. Things like that. It's like he doesn't really care about the African American community. And then you've heard things about in the past where he denied certain African Americans housing back in the 70s and stuff like that.
Well,
so
he's his own best monster. So the only thing we can do now is come out in 2020 and vote him out.
Could you see him winning again though?
If people don't step up to the plate, yeah, I could see him winning again. Just some hard truths about being an African American is that we're good at punishing our own people first, and we're harder on our own people than anybody else is. And so, to stand out or to just be anti, we'll side with somebody like him and just look crazy and be okay with it and justify it too.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I saw David Banner, the rapper, he said in a sense was that Trump getting elected might have been one of the best things to happen to us, because now he's letting us know where he stands. So now it's like the racism is not hidden. So either you're with him or you're against him. And it's like now we have to come and help and protect our own people, support each other instead of depending on the government, which was one of the things that he said as well.
Right, I definitely agree with David Banner. I like David Banner.
Me
Very
too.
well spoken.
So I don't think David Banner will run for president.
I don't think he should.
Did
Not that he's not dope, but yeah. I don't think that he should. But again, you just never can tell. My opinion on who will win is that I think a lot of people, Republican and Democrat alike, are sick of Trump. I've talked to a lot of Republicans who don't like him the more we do.
But do they come out enough publicly and speak out against him instead of behind closed doors? Because I think that
I don't know personally if everybody does, but I can't know that to that degree. However, what we have to do on the other side is we have to run our own race. We don't want somebody who's going to get back into a back and forth with him, because we're not looking for another him.
Exactly.
And so we just have to be mindful that whenever people start posing arguments about presidents and presidential candidates and even prior presidents, is that we've never had a president that everybody likes.
Absolutely.
And we're never going to have a president that everybody likes. But we have to pick somebody who embodies the morals, the what we want them to look and feel like, what represents us. We have to pick somebody who represents us well and stop looking for perfection. We are never going to find it if we're looking for perfection.
Do you feel like with President Obama leaving office that, in a sense, we were just satisfied with just seeing a black president in office instead of seeing more? Or do you feel like he did all that he could?
I feel like we were satisfied with seeing a black man in office, and I'm okay with that to the tune of messaging, which is something I talk a lot about in this shop. Is messaging is important, Because until you see somebody who looks like you and feels like you, a lot of times you think it's unattainable. Like me, when I go up to the house, they think I'm a page because they say I look so young, and they never really think I'm a house member. But to somebody else out there young, I mean, I wear a dress and tennis shoes. I would wear a dress and tennis shoes because I want to be comfortable. But to them, that looks young. And if that will inspire somebody else young, you only have to be 21. You don't have to wait till you're 35. If you meet the requirements and you feel like you're intelligent enough, put your name in the hat. Don't wait. You don't gotta wait to get old. Why? Your whole life is ahead of you.
And I think that's how a lot of people might look at it. Like, you have to be old and corny.
No.
It's not, because it's not something that's kind of interesting to a lot
When
of
we
people.
had sneaker and dress day, I wore my red dress with my red J's, my Jordan 11s.
Nothing wrong with it.
And I was fresh to death on the floor, in the house.
Do you ever get a look in the house, like, people look at you like, does she belong here? Like, why are you here?
Oh, they look at me like that all the time. I don't worry about it. I can't worry about it. Listen, I always say rock your weirdness, right? Weird is what you make it. All of us look how we look. We're comfortable. I work best when I'm comfortable, right? Don't you?
Absolutely,
If
yeah.
I put you in something that was too tight and you spent your whole day doing this, you can't pay attention to what I'm saying.
Right.
You don't know. So for me, I work best when I'm comfortable. So I think part of it is being comfortable in your own skin. You know, you don't need permission from other people to be who you are. And we have got to stop. You don't have to prove to them that you're the best cameraman because you look like the best cameraman. Because you might look like the best cameraman, and your shot might be blurry, right? I mean, which one is important? You look the part, or that you're able to do the job?
Able to get the job done.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's very important. But I want to know something else. Why is it any way for the state of South Carolina to not be a Republican state? How could we change that? Just out of curiosity.
We have to get our base riled up, the Democratic base. People have to go out and vote. I mean, it's as simple as that. If you don't think for 1 second that they don't count on us being lazy and slowful to go vote, then you are crazy. Not only that, but being diligent. When you register for absentee ballot, or when you go vote, and if you vote and phone in or something, you need to verify that it made it. Because if people they play dirty now. They will hide your stuff or lose your stuff or get rid of your stuff.
That's what happened in Georgia, where they were trying to hold, and a lot of them were black votes.
Yeah, but you know what we'll do? We'll say, well, we did it, and then we leave it out there. But if you really want to make sure, I paid you, I guarantee you're going to check your bank account the next day to see if that money hit.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely now. So the same way you're going to do that is the same way we need to get out and vote. All these areas, only about 10% of people vote. We've had towns as little as 4% people vote. That ain't nothing. That's like 287 people for that town that voted. And, it's sad, but in order for us to change the state, if we don't know how, we need to go ask somebody who we think can tell us how.
What's one law that we need to pay more attention to that absolutely affects us right now? Instead of just something worried about what the president is doing, like what's something, like we're from in the Spartanburg area, but what is a law like in the state of South Carolina that we absolutely need to be paying attention to that's affecting us?
Right now, a law that is going to affect everybody that will actually come to the House floor next week is Bill number 3759, and it is the education reform bill. And the way they're doing education in the state and funding it, they're trying to change it because right now we're last and we're failing in so many different areas. But there's a lot of facets to that bill that people have problems with. It's changed shaped quite a few times, but ultimately it's going to affect everything from K through 12 education to technical colleges to regular colleges, and how the money works, how the tax base works. That's all important to how you live, especially when you're trying to be competitive, because the way the world is changing, you almost have to have something in order to even be competitive for a regular job.
Absolutely. And with education, how does the state fund schools the same? Because some schools are like poorly funded, and it's like, man, they really need a lot. Well, how do we get money to those schools that doesn't have the income that they need?
Actually, I'm learning that process right now. I really can't give you a solid answer. We'll be doing budget week on March 11th, and that'll be the first time that I ever get to really see how we do the state's budget, where we give all the money to and how we balance it and how it all works together. Maybe we can come back later and I can tell you how that worked out. But I heard it's a very long week, and we go to sometimes midnight, 2 in the morning, I heard. So I'm looking forward to actually seeing how we come to the conclusion of who gets what.
Because in some schools, you're like, man, how in the world? In the school that I actually went to, I went to Jonesville middle school. My middle school was 7th through 12th grade, so we was middle school and high school together. But they ended up closing us down, and we ended up going to Union High School, so they called it Union County. But it was we were a very small school. I mean, I loved the school, but it was just so small that they closed it down and combined it. So it's like,
some of the money you get is based on the enrollment per pupil. You get like a certain amount of money per student that's enrolled. I know that's one facet of it. So if your enrollment goes down, they try to consolidate districts. By consolidating districts, instead of you having 2 superintendents, one for like 10 kids and one for 20, you'll have one for all 30, which means you can save money from paying one and use it somewhere else. So I know that's one thing that they like to do, but again, we will have to come back after budget week, and then I can tell you more about how that works.
Another thing I wanted to talk about education-wise is I actually had the teacher Taylor Spencer on last week, and we were talking about entrepreneurship and how schools should kind of teach some kind of course about entrepreneurship, and instead of just teaching us, make good grades and go work for somebody else all the time. How do you feel about entrepreneurship?
I am very big on entrepreneurship. I definitely think entrepreneurship and money management is something that should be taught in high school. That's when your mind is the most limber. I think before you get into your adult life, you have so many creative ideas and interests, and to not make that so people jump out on it makes no sense. Again, this whole waiting to succeed thing, Jordan has blown it out of the water. He's 19 and he opened his first brick and mortar store. And when they say brick and mortar, it's harder than anything else because you have so much overhead. But he's managed to do it. And so again, breaking the mold, sending that messaging. So yeah, I do think schools definitely need those courses.
And like we were saying earlier, it's like, I don't know how old you are, but they didn't really teach us how.
I can't be telling you how old I am.
That's fine.
I'm 29 and
that's
old.
Fine. That's fine. But they didn't really teach us. And I'm 26, but I just felt like when we were growing up, they didn't really teach us about entrepreneurship. And nowadays, I see it more and more now, and I feel like there's something that needs to be brought to the forefront more often. Creating your own opportunity and working for yourself. Because if something happens at a job and the company closes down, then
right.
What do you have?
You're right.
So I think that's so important. But is there anything else that we need to pay attention to going forward this year?
No, I think for this year, education is going to be the biggest hitter that you have. Just keep an eye on that and how it affects your districts. I work with a lot of the representatives, and I think that we all have a good heart for what we need to get done. But again, how we do it, we might differ on opinion on that. So that's definitely something you want to keep an eye on and talk to your legislator about.
Is there anybody that that's planning on running for president that you see that kind of stands out as of right now?
Not really. Honestly, this is the learning phase. So standing out, is it important right now? It's the learning phase. Everybody's kind of getting a feel for who's in the race and what they're about. And I think that's where people should be. In the black community, we like to not go to events based on who we don't like, based on the sound bites that the news gives us. And I am talking down on that so hard. I discourage you from doing that. If you can go to an event where there's a live candidate and you can get a feel for who they are in person, do that. I don't care what your friends say. I don't care if they say, oh man, I can't believe you went. Get your own opinion. Formulate your own opinion. It's so important because the news will sell you what sells.
Absolutely.
Period. They will. They've done it time and time again.
And we believe it.
And we'll believe it time and time again.
All the time.
So at some point, we have got to do something different.
How important would you say is the black vote when it comes to election time?
The black vote is solid. The black vote is key. Like, listen, you can't win a presidency without the black vote. Period. We are now voting better than we have, and we're starting to understand the value of our vote now, I think. So I really think the black vote is super important, but I think that we have to be wise in how we make our decisions, and definitely, again, not giving leeway to others and not ourselves.
One of the things that I saw a lot of people, like I said, Banner and Killer Mike and other actors, they'll say is we need to hold these politicians more accountable and ask them specifically what are they going to do for the black agenda as far as helping African Americans. What should we, how do we hold them accountable?
So, two things. Don't be afraid to directly ask the questions that you want answers to. Why? Because the reason why they're there to see you is to sell themselves. They know that their business is already in the street. That's not a secret. Where a lot of us are timid about, asking questions. If you want to know why Kamala Harris, prosecuted so many black men when she was a DA, then ask her.
Right.
I don't know what her answer would be, but ask her. Then you'll get a feel for whether or not she's telling you the truth in person, right? You can make that decision based on what she says. I don't know what her answer might be, but we have got to do that. And then on the back end, if you vote somebody in, especially with local elections, that is not doing their job, if you threaten to vote them out, or if you start speaking against not re-electing them, listen, they will move on your issue. You got to hold them to the fire. You got to email, text, call, email, text. Even if y'all just set up an email group that goes to all the House members, and you want to email and text all of us, not just yours, all of us, because even though your issue is directly related to your representative, you need all of our votes to pass the law that you want. So you want to email all of us or text all of us. That way we all know that you're standing on top of your head about whatever it is you want.
So you guys really pay attention to when you get complaints about, hey, we need you to get this done, or we're gonna vote for somebody else, or so a lot of times they're like, we don't.
We hear you.
You do?
We hear you, and we get a lot of responses to things. So we might not always be able to email back every single person, but you better be sure we see it. I mean, I've had bills that I didn't even know the number of. I got so many emails. I was like, man, what is this? Let me go look at it. Let me see what it is. I didn't even know what it was. They was emailing before I even knew what it was. So the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Do you? It's so many laws and things that pass by. How are you able to keep up with every single thing that goes on? Or?
I'm not. There's no way. It's not united. You have to read it as it comes sometimes. Sometimes you just have to read it as it comes.
Is anything where politicians really say, we got this going on, but we don't want the people in the community to know about it. So it's like some things they just keep to themselves.
I haven't seen any of that. Now, the information can be hard to access, but I haven't blatantly heard anybody trying to withhold any information from their community for any reason.
Okay, that's fine. My final question. First, and also before I got here, you made history. Can you tell us how you actually made history as well?
I am the first black woman to be ever elected to District 117 for Berkeley and Charleston County.
That's awesome. And my final question is, what is your ultimate goal?
My ultimate goal is to actually make laws and amend laws that would directly benefit those living in my community. The working person. I am the voice of the working person, the single mother, and the youth. Because I think that people campaign using us. They like to get us for our vote, but then a lot of times they don't feel like they're addressing our needs and issues. And so we don't want to be used anymore.
Absolutely. Well, Ms. Simmons, I want to thank you so much for your time. This was actually on the fly. Wasn't expected, but I want to thank you for stopping by Across the Line podcast. Before we get out of here, do you have any advice or tell people how they can find you?
You can find me on Facebook at Krystle Simmons for SC House, or you can find me on Twitter at Krystle_Simmons. Possibly switched around, Simmons_Krystle. KRYSTLE.
All right, thank you, Ms. Simmons. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Till next time, this is the Cross the Line Podcast. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Representative Krystle Simmons. I am the first Black woman elected to District 117, Berkeley and Charleston County, and you are tuned in to Cross the Line Podcast.